Good morning, students. Today I'm going to tell you a story, a beautiful story of relationships. Relation between a grandmother and a granddaughter. Our grandparents also narrate many stories to us. We like to hear the stories, and generally it happens that after reading this, listening to the stories, we fall asleep. So here in the story there is a slight change, that grandmother was not able to read and write, as she has faced many hardships during her lifetime. In a very little age, she got married, then have children, then grandchildren, and devoted her whole life to her family. She loves to cook food for her children and grandchildren. Now, a time comes when she realized that she has missed an important part of her life, that she has not learned to read the alphabets. Now she feels very bad and regrets about it. Now her granddaughter helps her to learn the alphabets and to make her read and write. So let's read this story. How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, written by Sudha Murthy. The name of the chapter is How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, by Sudha Murthy. So let's read this story. My grandmother, Kristaka, never went to school. The granddaughter is saying, narrating that her grandmother, Kristaka, never went to school. So she could not read, and that is the reason she was unable to read. Every Wednesday, the magazine Karamkira would come. Every Wednesday, a magazine named Karamkira would come. And I would read the next episode of the story, Kashi Yatre to her. Kashi Yatre, a story used to published in a magazine. The name of the magazine is Karamvira. And the name of the story is Kashi Yatre. During that time, she would forget all the word and listen with the greatest concentration. By that time, she forgets everything and just keep listening to the story. Grandmother. Later, she could repeat the entire text by heart. After listening to the story, she repeat the whole text by heart. Means she loved to read, to listen to that story that much that she just forgets everything while she comes to listen it. My grandmother never went to Kashi like the protagonist of the story. Protagonist is the central character of any story. Central character means in movies we see hero heroines. Okay, so hero heroine, they are the protagonists, main character. The whole story revolves around this character, so they are called the protagonists. Okay, and she identified herself with the latter. Grandmother also never went to Kashi, and the protagonist of the story, the main character of the story, he or she has never went to Kashi. So that's why grandmother feels very related with that protagonist. So more than anybody else, she was the most interested in knowing what happened next in the story. So, curious nature. Even these things happens with us, na? When we don't know, when we don't forget anything, we just try to listen. What? Uske baad kya hua? Yes, we do these things. Same thing happened with the grandmother. Grandmother just keep concentrating that what is happening, what is going to happen next. So she was very curious to know about the story. Once I was away for a week for a marriage in a neighborhood village. The narrator means who is telling us the story, narrator. So here the narrator is the granddaughter. The granddaughter name is not mentioned now. The granddaughter once went to once marriage in a village, in a nearby village. When I returned home, I saw my grandmother in tears. When she came back, she had seen her grandmother in tears. She was crying, she was weeping. I was surprised. The narrator got surprised, for I had never seen her cry even in the most difficult situation. The grandmother was very strong lady. She has never cried even in a difficult situation. But the narrator gets surprised. Why she's crying now? What had happened? What had happened to grandmother? Why she's crying? Avva, is everything alright? Avva. I used to call her Avva, which means mother in the Kannada spoken in North Karnataka. Avva, Amma, Dadima, Ma, okay? Which means Ma in Kannada. Mother in the Kannada, spoken in North Karnataka. In the region North Karnataka, there people call their mother Avva. And here the granddaughter also calls her grandmother Avva in Kannada language. She nodded but did not reply. Nodded means okay, nodding. She nodded but didn't reply. I did not understand and forgot about it. She just forgot about it. In the night after dinner, we were sleeping on the open terrace of the house. In the night after dinner, they were sleeping on the open terrace. Have you ever slept in your terrace? Just try to sleep once. You will feel very nice under the sky. Yes. Okay. So they were sleeping on the open terrace. It was a summer night and there was a full moon. It was a full moon summer night. It was a full moon summer night. Avva came and sat next to me. Our grandmother came and sat next to her granddaughter. I asked her, what is the matter? Now again she asked, what's the matter? Then grandmother started narrating. When I was younger, I lost my mother. She told that when she was young, she lost her mother. My father was a busy man and got married again. Her father was a busy man and got married again. In those days, people never considered education essential for girls, so I never went to school. I got married very young and had children. I became very busy. Later, I had grandchildren and always felt so much happiness in cooking and feeding all of you. At times, I used to regret not going to school, so I made sure that my children and grandchildren studied well. Now, she just spoken out her heart. What? That her mother died in a very young age. When she was very young, her mother died. And after that, his father remarried. She had never went to school, and after her marriage, she completely got busy in her children and grandchildren. But many a times she regrets not going to school. I could not understand why my 62-year-old grandmother was telling me, a 12-year-old, the story of her life in the middle of the night. The age of the grandmother is 62 years, 62, and the age of the granddaughter is 12 years only. So, the granddaughter is saying that she was unable to understand why her grandmother is telling her this all things as she is only of 12 years age. But I knew I loved her immensely and that there had to be some reason why she was talking to me. But she understood that there must be some reason why Abba is telling all this to her. I looked at her face. It was unhappy and her eyes were filled with tears. Again, her eyes were filled with tears and her face was very sad. Abba, don't cry. What's the matter? Can I help you in any way? The granddaughter asked her Abba if she could help her. Yes, I need your help. Abba said, yes, I need your help. I have decided I want to learn the Kannada alphabet from tomorrow onwards. She said that from tomorrow only she is going to start reading the Kannada alphabet. I will work very hard. I will keep the Saraswati Puja day during the Dasara as the deadline. She told herself that she will keep the day of the Saraswati Puja day during the Shara. She will keep this as a deadline. That day, I should be able to read a novel on my own. I want to be independent. Independent, yes. This is the spirit and enthusiasm that at the age of 62, she wants to learn the alphabets of Kannada language. And she kept the deadline Saraswati Puja day during the Shara. And she wanted to read a novel by her own without any help. I saw the determination on her face, yet I looked at her. She has seen the determination, strong determination, motivation, determination on the face of her grandmother, but she just laughed. Abba, at the age of 62, you want to learn the alphabet? All your hair is grey, your hands are wrinkled, you wear spectacles and you work so much in the kitchen. Childishly, I made fun of the old lady, but she just smiled. Yes. We also make fun of our grandparents about Buddhi ho gayo. Now you are getting old. You have specs, gray hairs. Yes. In the same manner, this granddaughter also made joke to her grandmother. But she just smiled and said nothing. For a good cause, if you are determined, you can overcome any obstacle. I will work harder than anybody, but I will do it. For learning, there is no age bar. The grandmother told that for learning, there is no age bar, and she is determined that she can overcome any obstacle for a good cause. The next day onwards, I started my tuition. The grandmother became a student and the granddaughter became a teacher. Appa was a wonderful student. Appa was a wonderful student. The amount of homework she did was amazing. She was very good and she did her homework very beautifully. She would read, repeat, write and recite. I was her only teacher and she was my first student. Little did I know then that one day I would become a teacher in computer science and teach hundreds of students. See, the author is saying that time she had no idea that in future she will become a teacher of computer science and will teach hundreds of students. But that time she was the only teacher and her grandmother was the only student. The Dashera festival come as usual. Secretly I brought Kashi Yatre, which had been published as a novel by that time. Now the deadline day, yes, Dashera, it came, and the granddaughter bought Kashi Yatre novel for her grandmother because before that this story Kashi Yatre was coming in magazines, Karambira magazine, but by that time this story got published as a novel. The entire story got published as a novel. My grandmother called me to the puja place and made me to sit down on a stool. Grandmother called her and made her sit in a stool. She gave me a gift of a frock material. The grandmother presented her little teacher a gift material, a frock material. Then she did something unusual, and after that she did something unusual thing. What? She bent down, and touched my feet. How we touch the feet? We just bend down and then touch the feet of our elders. I was surprised and taken aback. The granddaughter was surprised and just taken aback. Elders never touch the feet of youngsters. What's it say? Elders never touch the feet of youngsters. She said, I am touching the feet of a teacher, not my granddaughter. Then the grandmother said that she is not touching the feet of her granddaughter, rather she is touching the feet of her teacher, who taught me so well, with so much affection, that I can read any novel confidently in such a short period. Now, I am independent. It is my duty to respect a teacher. What's it said? That she is touching the feet of a teacher who taught her so well that she become independent and able to read the letters confidently. So, this is her duty to respect her teacher. How shall regard her teacher? By touching her feet. I did return namaskara to her by touching her feet. Granddaughter also did namaskara and by touching her feet and gave my gift to my first student. And she has also given a gift to her student, first student. First student is her grandmother. So she opened it and read immediately the title Kashi Yatri by Triveni and the publisher's name. After opening immediately, the grandmother just read the name of the novel Kashi Yatre by Triveni and the publisher's names also. I knew then that my student had passed with flying colors. The grandmother then understood that, the granddaughter then understood that her grandmother has passed her examination with flying colors. In this story, we get a very good motivation and a moral. What? For a good cause, if you are determined, you can overcome any obstacle. For a good cause, you can overcome any obstacle if we are determined. I will work harder than anybody, but I will do it. For learning, there is no age bar. For learning, there is no age bar. Anyone can start reading and learning at any age. For learning, there is no age bar. So very beautiful lesson this is, and I hope you all enjoyed. Hannah? Okay. So just read the whole story once again, your own, and try to learn the word meanings and the hard words. So this is the story, a beautiful story, relationship story of a grandmother and a granddaughter. How the grandmother became independent and learned the letters of Kannada and started reading novel by herself. Very inspiring and powerful story. So, this is all for today. We'll meet another day. Thank you.